I'm so excited to introduce you to Dr. John Akinyemi. He is with us with a smiling face, and you can see behind him is a picture of his beautiful wife, Agnes. We'll talk about his family. And the name of his book is one I bet all of our mothers would love for us to have written. It's called Meet My Mother, Portrait of my quintessential consummate, and I love that word. He's got the book in his hand, mother. So wait till you hear the stories of his mother and the impact that she had, and just such an interesting life. Dr. John, thanks so much for coming on with us.
My pleasure.
Let's talk about your book. What made you decide to write this book?
I decided to write this book 2 weeks in advance of the last Mother's Day. I thought of her and I said, wouldn't it be nice if I can commemorate a book in her name to honor all the mothers across the globe? Because I know for a fact that a mother's duties in the home, in the family, is never finished. It's a love affair that almost parallels a divine love that the good Lord decides that all couples should have. My mother, when I look back, I give her all the glory. I give God the glory, of course. And I give her all the honor for the way she brought all nine of us. I am one in the middle. I have four older siblings and four younger siblings. A case in point was the fact that I recall growing up in Nigeria, West Africa, as a young toddler, how she nurtured us, how she built the foundation for our lives. Each day started with a morning devotion in the family. And all nine of us, we had a family Bible. She had her own, my father had his own, and we have one for the siblings. She would apportion a part of the verse in the Bible for us to read. And each one of us, from the oldest, Emmanuel, to the youngest, we would read a verse and pass it on to the next sibling. Now that I recall my experience, I wonder how much I really valued that. I was about 7 as I recall. And what does a 7-year-old know? I was bored with the ritual of having to wake up so early in the morning and the ring of bell from my next older brother, who was apportioned to be the bell boy. He would ring the bell and all of us would come to the living room where we'll have the devotion. And my mother would interpret each lesson that we were supposed to get from that devotion. And I just wonder, that is the foundation, that is the pillar of my life today. And
Wow.
I credit her for building my life on a piece of rock. And that is what I just glorify God for. She, like my father, was an educator by training. So she aspired to the rank of being the principal of a Methodist elementary girls' school, and my father likewise became the principal of the boys' school. When I look back at the foundation of my life, I just rejoice that first of all, they nurtured us to know whose sons or daughters we are. She and my father imposed upon us the idea of knowing who you are. And once you know who you are, you have established the rock for the foundation, the rock for whatever building, so to speak, comes on top of that. So my quintessential mother, as I recall, I was about 10 years old when she went in one of those Methodist synods. It's like a meeting of leaders in the Methodist churches of Nigeria. She took me along with her, and she made me have a commitment. He said, John, I am taking you on this synod of meetings. However, I want you to write an essay on your experiences. So I recall after the synod, it was a 4-day meeting in one of the largest cities in Nigeria called Ibadan. I came back and she asked me for my essay, which I wrote. So she was my very first teacher. All over, there were red grammatical errors, of course.
Wow.
So anyway, I figured, oh, I should silence that story. Hold on one second.
And this is an interview, and people understand that you silenced the phone. It was funny. We heard a Rocky theme, and I thought, you know what?
And
That's your mother coming through to us and telling us and reaching out. Hey, you're
yes,
talking about me. I feel her spirit, and
oh, thank you.
you're saying.
So anyway, she was my first teacher, and I think for all mothers in the world, I need to emphasize the idea that mothers, parents in particular, are the rock educators of their family members. Later on, 2 decades or so later, when I was a student at Aurora College, which has now become Aurora University, I was lucky enough to have a mentor. I still remember her name, Dr. And the name just momentarily escaped me. But she was a female professor who encouraged me. I took a course in creative writing. And creative writing course really brought the very best out of every student. It was more like she siphoning out the creative spirit in each of us. Apparently, she recognized that I had this dormant emotion. She encouraged me, and in that year, that was 1965, I remember so well, she encouraged me to submit some kind of a competition to the National Anthology of College Poetry at the time. And lo and behold, the little poems that I wrote were published. So that was my very first introduction to the publishing field. And of course, later in my scientific endeavor, I had to write a thesis for the master's degree and a dissertation for the PhD. But of all these creative things that the good Lord has enabled me to do, the most important one is the writing of books in my retirement years. Anytime I feel like expressing my joy, expressing my frustration sometimes, expressing a deep feeling, I just get a piece of paper, get my computer, and put the thoughts down. So the idea of writing this book was really conceived 2 weeks before the last Mother's Day. And I made a deal with my publisher. I said, do you think you can publish this just in time for Mother's Day? Of course, I didn't meet that deadline. But the memories of my mother are so indelible. And all my siblings in Africa, and we are scattered all over. We're in Europe, we're in South Africa, we're in, of course, in Canada, and of course here. All of them are just so enamored that John is able to write about meet my mother, who of course was meet their grandmother, their great grandmother, and so on and so forth. Because I'm blessed enough to have written another book called Belongings. Belongings is a history, a genealogy of the Akinyemi family, tracing back all the way from 1848 till the present. That's 6 generations I was able to trace. The effort for this, I give the credit to my oldest niece, Mrs. Grace Olajumoke, me, of course, Akinyemi, who did all the work from my mother's collection at home. My mother was a meticulous note taker. She kept record of the birthdays of each member of the family. So my niece was able to dig into this family Bible that she kept, in which she noted all the family birthdays and so on and so forth, and shared it with me. So with her cooperation, with her encouragement, and of course with the encouragement of all my cousins and nephews and family members, I was able to write this genealogy, which is called Belonging. And I'll tell you a little story about why I chose that title.
Let's hear it.
I figure out that we, Homo sapiens, human beings, truly would belong to one another. I figure that I am where I am today because I am standing on the shoulders of the people that preceded, that came before me. I figured if I wrote something that shows this family human relationships, we belong to one another. We belong to each other. It's a fresh scene at what is going on in today's world when the leadership of this great country is encouraging collision between different groups for some ungodly purpose. I figure if I wrote a book that shows that we humans, we truly are each other's keepers, that the world will be a better place.
Wow, what a great sentiment. When people read either one of these books, both of these books, I hope they get them. What do you hope they take away?
From my Meet My Mother, I hope they take away the incredible legacies that mothers throughout the world leave to their families and children. If the mother does it right, I figure that I hope that people will take the idea home to know that persistence, love, caring, all these things that a mother shows to her children are really the foundation, the roots of our advancement as human beings. I deeply suffer, deeply in my mind, when I read stories of some mothers who, for one reason or the other, decide not to give their consummate love to their family or to their children. I feel hurt when I see a young mother with 2 children shopping at Kmart, shopping at Walmart, and not seeing a father to accompany them. I know that I cannot impose upon them my own values, but it will be so much better when I see, and I'll tell you a little story that demonstrates what I'm trying to say. When I see a, a photo or a scene in which a mother and a father show this connection, this connectivity, this love. A case in point, I was shopping at Costco the other day and I saw two couples, a man and a woman, holding hands. And something told me, I said, I like that. The man said, what? I said, when I grow up, I'm going to learn how to hold my spouse's hands. Both of us laughed. When I see that, it's a visual body language that demonstrates what love is, what caring is. I always marvel at gentlemen who tip their hat when they see a lady, who open the door of the car for their lady. This is just awesome to me. And it just tells me this is little practice. You don't need to have a PhD to have that. It's just a little practice, knowing that whoever you are with means so much to you. My mother demonstrates all her life that we, her 9 children, mean so much to her. As a matter of fact, when my father died, and he died rather young, 51 years young, he was in excellent health. However, at that time, I'm talking about 1956, there was no medical cure for asthma. Reportedly, he probably died of an asthmatic attack. Again, putting it back in the years, 1956, when there was no cure for that. So I'm hoping that readers will know that we, the society, sometimes we don't give enough credence, enough credit to mothers who sacrifice everything just to make sure that we, the children, become somebody. Without me, and again, a little side story about this. I alluded earlier that I have 4 older and 4 younger siblings. When I look back at my parents on their way of handling family planning, I said to myself, oh my goodness, I am so glad my parents did not stop at just having 3 or 4 children. Otherwise, I would not be alive today. I'm the 5th of 9.
Wow.
And this ties in a little intricate way with my beautiful wife. In the earlier years of our dating, she remarked to me one time, said, whoever I marry must agree to have 10 children with me. I smiled and I said to her, I guess that rules me out of it. So later in life, as I was thinking, I became a little wiser. I wondered what might have been in her mind when she said that. And lo and behold, it dawned on me. You know, it's been said that parents rear their children the way these parents themselves were reared. So later I found out that Agnes has 10 siblings, including herself.
Wow.
And of course, her father and her mother. No multiple wives now, just husband and wife and 10 children. So I figured that maybe at that moment when she said that, she was saying, if I can't break my parents' record, at least I must make it. And it's so funny too that myself, I, for some reason, I'm in the middle. So I have a total of 8 siblings. So I figure, oh my Lord, this is a wonderful coincidence in terms of family numbering system.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, your stories are beautiful, and there's so many more stories and prayers and things that happened to you during your life. And so much of that, again, the rock, as you said, your mother, Meet My Mother, is a wonderful gift. Belongings, another book worthy of people going to get. Dr. John, we could talk to you forever. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yes. God bless.